Assalamu alaikum, my dear students of Pharmaceutical Organic Chemistry II. Today, inshallah, we are going to handle a new topic which is about qualitative determination of aldehyde and ketones, and we are going to proceed today with iodoform and Fuchsin tests. Of course, before we proceed, we have to draw the chemical structure of the samples and reagent we are going to use. So here we go. We will start with benzaldehyde. Simply it's benzene ring connected to aldehyde group, acetaldehyde CH3 with aldehyde functional group, and butanone, it's ketone, and here is the typical carbonyl group. And then for the acetone, it's CH3 and another CH3 and linked by typical carbonyl group, and for the control for sure it would be para-aminobenzoic acid, which is hydroxyl group linked to carbonyl group and benzene ring and amino group. Okay, for the reagent we have distilled water HOH, we have sodium hydroxide, we have Lugol's, which is actually iodine solution, and this iodine solution, when I prepare it, I used potassium iodide to enhance the solubility of the iodine solution. And then the chef reagent. Chef reagent is a little bit complicated structure, so I will start with so this is benzene ring, and this benzene ring is connected to carbon, which is connected to sulfur. Okay, and once again connected to benzene ring. This benzene ring connected to amino group, which is connected to sulfur group and H. Okay, so this is the structure of the chef reagents. For the instruments we are going to use, inshallah, in the next phase of this practical session, we are going to view the instruments and the chemical we need to perform this experiment. Okay. Let's proceed with the procedures. We have two different tests today. We have iodoform test and we have chef test, or sometimes we call it Fuchsin test. Okay, for the iodoform test, simply we will take 1 ml of the sample solution if it is liquid, while if it is solid we will take 0.5 gram if it is solid, so I'll just write it here in test tube. Then we are going to add 1 ml of 5% sodium hydroxide to ensure that the media become basic. Then we are going to shake them well. Next step, we are going to boil it in water bath for 1 minute. Then we are going to take the test tube to the outside of the water bath, and we will add drop wise of Lugol's reagent, which is 5% iodine solution. Then we are going to cool the tube to get more iodoform bodies. What is iodoform bodies? We have to go to the chemical reaction to explain it. Here is the sample, which is in this case is a ketone. Okay, and we are going to react that ketone with iodine in presence of basic media, which is provided by sodium hydroxide. This reaction ends up by formation of certain chemical, which is we call it iodoform body. Okay, this iodoform body, it have a yellowish color. So if I found yellowish bodies or yellowish granules at the bottom of the test tube at the end of the experiment, it indicates that this sample is for sure a ketone. Okay, we call iodoform like this because actually it is formed of iodine, triiodide, in addition to methyl side chain, and we know that the methyl side chain, the common name is form, so we call it iodoform. Okay, now we are going back to the chef test. For the chef test, it is very simple test. Actually, we are going to add 2 milliliter of the chef reagent to clean test tube. Then we are going to add drops of the sample solution. If we got pinkish discoloration, it means this sample is an aldehyde. Okay, so now we have one particular test for ketones and we have one particular test for aldehydes. Okay, now we are going to proceed with the chemical experiment, and we will do a iodoform test and chef test on the entire set of samples we have today in addition to the control, and then we will find what is the result of that. So please stay with me. Before we proceed in today's experiment, we have to make sure that we have all the required instruments and chemical required for today's practical. We will start by having acetaldehyde sample solution, benzaldehyde sample solution, butanone sample solution, acetone sample solution, para-aminobenzoic acid sample powder, Chef reagent, Lugol's reagent, which is iodine solution, sodium hydroxide 1 molar solution, test tubes of a capacity between 10 to 25 milliliter, in addition to the test tube rack, plastic droppers, labels, distilled water, and hot plates. Now we are going to proceed with the practicals. Okay, as usual, before we proceed with any practical experiment, we have to make sure that we have all the personal protective equipment, including the gloves and the goggles. Okay, now we are going to proceed by labeling the samples we have. We are going to proceed first with iodoform tests, as we can see here in the practical worksheet. We will start by iodoform test, then we will start the chef tests. Okay, how we are going to proceed, I'm going to label all the samples I have it. I will start by acetaldehyde, and then benzaldehyde. Okay, then butanone, and acetone. Of course, in addition to the control, which is para-aminobenzoic acids. Okay, which is right here. I'm just going to bring it in front of us so we can proceed. Okay, I will start by the test tube having para-aminobenzoic acids, then acetaldehyde, then benzaldehyde, where it is, yes, benzaldehyde, then butanone, then finally the acetone. Okay, then we have to place 1 milliliter of the sample in each test tube. So here's 1 milliliter of each sample inside the test tube for the liquid sample. So this is acetaldehyde. I place 1 milliliter here. And then for the benzaldehyde, I will take 1 milliliter. And I put it in the benzaldehyde tube. Then butanone. Then acetone. While for the para-aminobenzoic acids, I will take around 0.5 grams and place it inside it. Okay, after that, we are going to add 1 milliliter of 5% sodium hydroxide, 5 or 4% of sodium hydroxide. So here we are, 1 milliliter. We said the aim of that just to make the media basic, to enhance the reactivity of iodine with our samples. Okay, then the acetone. Okay. So I'm done with the sodium hydroxide. Next step, we are going to shake well all the samples to ensure complete reaction with the sodium hydroxide. Okay. So now we are sure that the media is basic. Okay, next we are going to boil on water bath for 1 minute. So I'm going to put them inside the water bath. At the same time for 1 minute. And I will start counting the time now. Now I'm going to remove the test tubes from the water bath. And I will proceed with the next step. Okay, now I'm going to add Lugol's reagent or the iodine solution to the test tube, but I will add it in drop wise, and I will notice any changes that may occur. I will keep them for a while, then I will proceed. Okay, now I kept the test tubes for 5 minutes, and now I'm going to check the results. This is the test tube contain acetaldehydes. We cannot find any precipitate in the bottom of the test tube, so there is no iodoform body. The same scenario with the benzaldehyde. We cannot find any precipitate or any granules which called as a iodoform body, yellowish body in the bottom of the test tube. Okay, while in case of butanone, there is yellowish bodies in the bottom of the test tube. I'm going to visualize it for you by addition of extra drops of iodine. So let's have a look. It's very clear that the iodoform bodies is now formed again in the bottom of the test tube. So once again, I'm going to repeat it. We can see in the bottom of the test tube the iodoform bodies, which is the yellowish bodies in the bottom of the test tube. I will try to focus on that so you can see it more clearly. Okay, even if I add more drops of iodine, it will appear more and more. Now you can see the iodoform bodies in the bottom of the test tube. Okay, and this is logical for sure because butanone is one of the ketones. When we go to the para-aminobenzoic acid, we will not find any yellowish body or yellowish precipitate in the bottom of the test tube, because for sure this is our control and it shouldn't react with the iodoform test. Okay, last is with acetone. Once again, we can see here the yellowish bodies, and I'm going to show it to you by addition of more drops of iodine. Can you see the clouds formed once I added the iodine drops? Yeah, these bodies down there, they are iodoform body. Of course, after a while, they will clump together and form like floccules, would be more visible for us. So this is the result we are going to see with the sample of acetone. Okay, so now we are done with the iodoform body or iodoform test, and we are going to proceed with the next experiment, which is the chef test. So please stay with me. Okay, so we are back and we are now going to do chef tests. But first of all, as usual, I have to label the test tube. So I will name the first one as para-aminobenzoic acid. Then just follow the order. Acetaldehyde, then benzaldehyde, then butanone, then acetone. Of course, whatever you are seeing in front of you, this is the result of the first test, which is the iodoform test. Okay, so this one is para-aminobenzoic acid, which is this one. Just label it. Okay, then we will proceed with acetaldehyde. Acetaldehyde, okay. Then Benzaldehyde. Okay, then Butanone. And finally Acetone. Okay, so I'm done. Now I'm going to put 2 milliliter of chef reagent in each test tube before proceeding. This is chef reagent. So this is 1, 2, the same 1, 2, and the last amount. Now all the test tubes contain 2 milliliter of chef reagent. Now we are going to add the samples. I will start by para-aminobenzoic acid. Let's see if there is any pinkish color change. No. Okay, so now let's go with the acetaldehyde. We'll add just a few drops. Then we will shake it. Yes, we have pinkish discoloration, if you can see the color. Okay, so this is acetaldehyde. Now we're going to proceed with the benzaldehyde. So let's see what will be the color change, if there is any. Yes, so it gives us pinkish discoloration, which indicates that these two compounds are aldehydes. Then we are going to add butanone, a few drops, and shake it. You will find that it's not pinkish. Then acetone. Okay. Once again, it's not pinkish color. So we got pink color only with these two test tubes, with these two samples, which are benzaldehyde and acetaldehyde. While for the para-aminobenzoic acid, there is no change in the color, while in the acetone and butanone, if you can see them, we will find that yes, there is a slight color change, but it is not pink, it's somehow light orange, and this one there is no color change. So this test tells us that these two samples are aldehydes and the rest of them they are not aldehydes. Okay, now I will take you with closer look to the all the test tubes, but I will add here few drops of the iodine solution on both ketones, so you can see the color change or the formation of iodoform body again, and the same image. So I will just move the camera closer to this. Here you can see in the test tube, which is known as butanone ketone, you can find the iodoform bodies, and the same here in the test tube acetone, you can find the iodoform body. This is for the iodoform tests. While for the chef tests, no color change in the para-aminobenzoic acid, while the two aldehyde sample we have pinkish discoloration, while the two ketones we don't have any pinkish discoloration. So this is the results of the chef tests. Now we are going to proceed with the final part, which is conclusion and writing down the results. Stay with me. Back again, we're already done with the practical experiment. Now we are going to understand the results and interpret them. So here the board of our results. We will find that in the iodoform tests, the positive result occurred only with with acetone and the butanone. Okay, they are both belongs to the ketones. That's why they will give positive with the iodoform tests. While acetaldehyde and benzaldehyde, they are aldehyde in nature. That's why we got no change in both of them. Okay, while the para-aminobenzoic acid, once again, we got no change. And this is, once again, it is logical because para-aminobenzoic acid, it is our control for today's experiments. Okay, for the chef test, it will identify or detect the aldehyde. That's why with acetaldehyde and benzaldehyde we got pinkish solution, while for acetone and the butanone there is no change. And once again, it's logical for para-aminobenzoic acid to get no change. Now I'm going to transfer these results into my worksheet, so please stay with me. Okay, so these are our results. We will note that, as I explained on the board a while ago, that butanone and acetone, they will form yellow precipitate, and we say that this yellow precipitate represents the iodoform bodies, while the benzaldehyde and acetaldehyde, they will not perform or they will not produce this precipitate because they are aldehyde in nature. The opposite will occur with the chef test, which will detect the presence of aldehyde, but it will give negative result with the ketones and non-aldehyde compounds. Okay, so that would be all for today's experiments. Hope you enjoyed it, and inshallah I'm going to see you in next session. Assalamu alaikum.